All right, tech fans, buckle up. We're diving into the world of quantum computing. And let me tell you, it's going to be a wild ride. Think about it this way. Trying to explain quantum computing today, it's kind of like trying to describe the internet back in the 80s. You know, back when people still thought dial-up was the peak of technology.
Yeah, you'd be talking about websites and email, and they'd be looking at you like you had two heads.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Even back then, some folks saw the potential. They knew the internet was about to change everything.
And now we're seeing the same kind of buzz around quantum computing.
Right? Like this one analyst who's making some pretty bold predictions about a company called Rigetti Computing, Inc., ticker symbol RGTI.
And we're not talking about some small-time bump in the stock price.
No, this analyst has straight up doubled their price target for RGTI.
Which is basically like saying, I think this company's going to be worth twice as much.
Very soon. So either this analyst is a visionary,
or they've completely lost their binary mind.
That's what we're here to find out.
Yeah.
So for those of us who are still stuck in the dial-up era of understanding this stuff,
You mean you haven't built your own quantum computer in your garage yet?
not quite. What exactly does Rigetti do? I mean, I get that quantum computing is supposed to be like super powerful.
Yeah.
But how does that translate to cold, hard cash?
Well, Rigetti is in the business of developing and building quantum computers.
Okay, but what makes these quantum computers so special? Are they just like super duper fast PCs?
It's not just about speed. They're fundamentally different. These machines operate using the principles of quantum mechanics, which allows them to tackle problems that would take traditional computers. Well, let's just say longer than the lifespan of the universe.
Oh, okay. So we're not talking about like speeding up your internet browsing here.
No, we're talking about things like drug discovery materials, science, artificial intelligence taken to a whole new level.
Okay. Now I'm starting to see why this analyst might be excited. But the market doesn't always move on potential alone.
Right.
How's RGTI actually performing? Because I noticed that NVIDIA, ticker symbol NVDA, which is, a pretty major player in the tech world.
Yeah, they make those graphics cards that gamers drool over.
Yeah, well, they're down today. Like their stock price is down. And their tech is a lot more, shall we say, proven.
That's a good point. And you know what? RGTI is down today too, but only by 2% compared to NVIDIA's 3.12%.
Huh. Interesting. So is there something about Rigetti and this whole quantum computing space that's making investors a little less skittish, even in a down market?
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It really does. So are we seeing the start of a quantum gold rush, where everyone's scrambling to get a piece of the action?
There's definitely a growing buzz around quantum computing. You've got governments pouring money into research, big tech companies like Google and IBM making their own plays.
It's like the early days of the internet all over again.
Exactly, where everyone knew something big was happening, but nobody was quite sure how it would all play out.
All right, so let me ask you this. Would you put your money where this analyst's mouth is?
Honestly, it's a tough call. Investing in an emerging technology like this, it's inherently risky. It's like betting on a horse that's still learning to walk.
But if that horse wins the Kentucky Derby,
the payoff could be astronomical.
Okay, so let's talk about that potential. What could a world powered by quantum computing actually look like? I mean, beyond just faster computers and cooler gadgets.
We could see breakthroughs in medicine that we can barely even imagine right now, like being able to design drugs specifically tailored to your DNA.
Wow. No more one-size-fits-all medicine.
Exactly. Or how about materials that are lighter and stronger than anything we have today?
Sign me up for that flying car now.
And then there's artificial intelligence. Quantum computing could take AI to a whole new level.
Okay, so that's the optimistic view. But let's play devil's advocate for a second. What could go wrong?
Well, for starters, the technology is still in its infancy. There are massive technical hurdles to overcome.
Right, like maybe they just can't get these quantum computers to work reliably, or maybe they're just too expensive to build.
And then there's the question of adoption. Will businesses and consumers actually embrace quantum computing? Or will it remain a niche technology for a select few?
So basically, quantum computing could be the next big thing.
Or it could be a colossal flop.
So what does this all mean for someone who's listening right now thinking, should I buy some RGTI?
Well, investing is a personal decision, and there's no one-size-fits-all answer. But if you're interested in quantum computing, this is definitely a story worth watching.
Okay. But before I max out my credit card buying RGTI, let's dive a little deeper into the specifics.
All right. Let's take a closer look at what makes Rigetti unique and why this analyst might be so bullish on their future.
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's break it down. What sets Rigetti apart from the other players in this quantum space?
One key difference is their approach to building quantum computers.
Okay, now you're going to have to explain this one to me. I'm all ears.
You see, while some companies are focused on using superconducting qubits for their quantum computers, Rigetti is using something called trapped ion qubits.
Hold on, back up a second. Qubits. Trapped ions. For those of us who didn't major in quantum physics, could you break that down a bit?
You got it. So think of qubits as the building blocks of quantum computers. They're kind of like the bits in a regular computer, but with a quantum twist.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Instead of just being a 0 or a 1 like a regular bit, a qubit can be both at the same time. That's where the quantum part comes in.
Mind blown. Okay, so how do trapped ions fit into all of this?
Well, trap ions are one way to create these qubits. Essentially, you're trapping individual atoms and using their properties to perform calculations.
So Rigetti is betting on trapped ions. Why is that significant?
Well, each approach has its own advantages and disadvantages. Trapped ions are known for their stability and long coherence times, which is crucial for performing complex quantum computations.
So longer coherence times better performance and potentially a bigger payoff for investors. Is that what this analyst is seeing?
It's certainly possible. But remember, there's a lot more to consider than just the underlying technology. We need to look at Rigetti's partnerships, their roadmap for development, and their overall strategy for bringing quantum computing to the market.
All right, let's get into it. What kind of partnerships are we talking about? Are they teaming up with any big names that could really move the needle?
Rigetti has partnered with some major players, including the U.S. Department of Energy and Amazon Web Services.
Whoa. Government backing and access to Amazon's cloud computing infrastructure? That's not too shabby. What about their development roadmap? Are they on track to deliver on their promises?
They've been steadily increasing the number of qubits in their systems and making progress on key technical challenges. They're also focused on developing software and applications that will make quantum computing accessible to a wider audience.
So they're not just building the hardware, they're thinking about the whole ecosystem. That's smart. But let's be real, this is still a long game, right? We're not going to see quantum computers on our desks next year.
You're right, we're still in the early stages.
Yeah.
And it's going to take time for this technology to mature. But that's what makes it such an exciting time to be watching this space. We're potentially witnessing the birth of a whole new industry.
Okay, so let's wrap up this part of our deep dive with a quick recap. We've got Rigetti, a company betting big on trapped ion qubits for quantum computing. They've got some impressive partnerships, and they seem to be making solid progress on their development roadmap. But the big question remains, is this enough to justify the analyst's bold prediction?
That's what we're going to explore in the next part of our deep dive. We'll take a closer look at the analyst's rationale, examine the potential risks and rewards, and try to determine whether Rigetti is truly poised for a quantum leap.
Sounds good to me. Stick around, folks. We'll be back after a quick word from our sponsors.
All right, so let's dig a little deeper into this analyst's prediction. Doubling the price target for any company is a pretty bold move.
Yeah, especially for one that's in a field as, well, let's be honest, kind of out there as quantum computing.
Exactly. So what's the rationale? What do they see in Rigetti that maybe the rest of the market is missing?
Yeah, spill the quantum beans.
Okay, so from what I've gathered, the analyst seems to be focusing on a few key things. First off, they really believe that Rigetti's approach to building quantum computers, using those trapped ion qubits we talked about, gives them a serious technological edge.
Okay, so remind us again why trapped ion qubits are such a big deal.
Well, remember how we talked about coherence times? How long a qubit can maintain its quantum state?
Yeah, it's like the longer the better, right?
Exactly. And trapped ion qubits are known for having those super long coherence times, which is essential if you want to do those really complex quantum calculations.
So basically, Rigetti's qubits are like the marathon runners of the quantum world.
You could say that, and that's a big plus in the analyst's book. But there's more. They're also impressed with Rigetti's partnerships.
Ah, yes, those big names we mentioned earlier. The U.S. Department of Energy and Amazon Web Services.
Exactly. Those collaborations are huge, not just for the funding, but also for the access to resources and expertise. They can help Rigetti develop their technology faster and scale it up more efficiently.
So they've got the tech, they've got the partnerships. But how do they actually make money? Even with all that going for them, quantum computing is still a pretty niche field.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Well, this analyst believes that Rigetti is in a prime position to tap into that growing demand for quantum computing solutions. Think about it. Industries like drug discovery materials, science, financial modeling, they're all hungry for the kind of power that quantum computing can provide.
But not every company could just build their own quantum computer.
Right?
Right, those things are probably crazy expensive.
Exactly. And that's where Rigetti's cloud-based approach comes in. They're aiming to provide access to their quantum computers through the cloud. So businesses and researchers can basically rent the computing power they need without having to build their own systems.
Okay, so it's like cloud computing, but for quantum stuff. Instead of storing your cat pictures, you're running simulations that could, like, cure cancer.
Precisely. It's about democratizing access to quantum computing, making it available to a much wider audience and unlocking a whole new world of possibilities.
Okay, I'm starting to see why this analyst is so bullish. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Quantum computing is still in its early stages, and there are a lot of things that could go wrong. What are some of the risks investors should be aware of?
Well, one of the biggest risks is simply that the technology doesn't develop as quickly as everyone expects. There are still major technical hurdles to overcome.
Yeah, like what if those trapped ions turn out to be a lot more finicky than they thought?
Exactly. Or what if they just can't scale up the number of qubits in their systems fast enough?
Right, so the whole quantum computing bubble could burst before it even really gets going.
That's a possibility. And then there's the competition. This space is getting crowded with both startups and tech giants, all vying for dominance.
It's like the quantum Hunger Games out there.
Kind of, and it's possible that Rigetti could get outmaneuvered by a competitor with a better technology or stronger partnerships or just more resources.
And let's not forget about good old-fashioned market risk. Even if Rigetti does everything right, their stock price could still take a hit if investors lose confidence in the quantum computing sector as a whole.
Absolutely. We've seen it happen with other emerging technologies. Hype can often get ahead of reality, leading to inflated valuations and volatile stock prices.
So basically, investing in Rigetti is not for the faint of heart.
You could say that, but let's play a different game for a moment. Let's say everything goes according to plan. Quantum computing lives up to the hype, and Rigetti becomes a major player. What kind of impact could this have on the world?
Now you're talking my language. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first off, think about healthcare. We could see the development of personalized medicine tailored to your individual genetic makeup.
No more one-size-fits-all treatments. Everyone gets exactly what they need.
Right. And imagine the potential for developing new drugs and therapies that target diseases at a molecular level. Maybe even cures for diseases that are considered incurable today.
That's incredible. What about other industries?
In materials science, we could use quantum computers to design materials with properties that we can only dream of today.
Like lighter and stronger aircraft, more efficient solar panels.
Exactly. Or even self-healing materials that can repair themselves.
Whoa, now that's some sci-fi stuff. And I imagine the financial industry would be pretty excited about this too.
Yes. Absolutely. They could use quantum computers to develop more sophisticated risk management models, identify new investment opportunities, and even create entirely new financial instruments.
So Wall Street's going to need to hire a lot more physicists if they want to keep up.
Maybe so. But here's the thing that's really important to remember. Most of our listeners aren't venture capitalists or hedge fund managers.
Right. They're just everyday people trying to make sense of this crazy world.
Exactly. So for the average investor, it's crucial to remember that quantum computing is still a long-term bet.
It's not about getting rich quick.
Right. It's about investing in a technology that has the potential to fundamentally change the world.
So should they buy some RGTI or not?
Yeah.
What's the verdict?
Honestly, investing is a personal decision, and there's no easy answer. But if you're interested in quantum computing and you believe in Rigetti's potential, then it might be worth considering adding a small position to your portfolio.
Okay, but emphasis on the small right.
Absolutely. Do your research understand the risks and don't invest more than you can afford to lose?
Words to live by. But let's be real. Even if you don't invest a single dollar, quantum computing is just plain cool. It's fascinating to watch this technology develop and see what kind of impact it's going to have on our lives.
I agree. It's a reminder that we're living in an era of incredible technological advancement. And it's exciting to think about what the future holds.
Okay, so before we get carried away with our quantum fantasies, let's bring things back down to earth for a moment. We've talked a lot about the potential benefits of quantum computing.
The personalized medicine, the new materials, the AI advancements.
Exactly. But there are also some ethical considerations that we need to address.
That's an important point. As with any powerful technology, there's the potential for misuse. We need to think carefully about how quantum computing will be used and what safeguards need to be put in place to prevent it from being used for harmful purposes.
Like, for example, quantum computers could potentially be used to break the encryption that protects our online communications and financial transactions.
That's right. And that could have serious implications for privacy and security.
And then there's the question of job displacement. If quantum computers can automate tasks that are currently being done by humans, what happens to those workers?
These are all important questions that we need to start grappling with now before this technology becomes even more powerful and widespread.
So it sounds like we need to proceed with caution and a healthy dose of skepticism.
Absolutely. But also, with a sense of wonder and excitement, quantum computing has the potential to solve some of the world's most pressing problems, and that's something worth celebrating.
Okay, so let's wrap up this part of our deep dive with a quick recap. We've talked about the analyst's rationale for their bullish prediction on Rigetti.
We've explored the potential risks and rewards of investing in this space.
And we've touched on the broader impact that quantum computing could have on the world, both the good and the potentially not so good.
Now it's time to move on to our final segment where we'll try to distill all of this down into some key takeaways and leave you with some food for thought. So stay tuned.
All right, folks. Welcome back to the show. So we've been on quite a journey today, exploring the wild world of quantum computing.
From those mind-boggling qubits and trapped ions to the potential for personalized medicine and materials that can, repair themselves.
It's enough to make your head spin.
Right. It's definitely a lot to take in. But that's what happens when you're dealing with a technology that has the potential to, completely reshape the world.
Exactly. So let's try to distill all of this down into some key takeaways.
Yeah.
What are the big things our listeners should remember from this deep dive?
Well, I think the first takeaway is that quantum computing is here to stay. This isn't just some sci-fi fantasy anymore. It's a technology that's developing rapidly, and it has the potential to revolutionize pretty much every industry you can think of.
So no flying cars just yet.
Mm.
But we could be looking at some pretty amazing breakthroughs in the not-too-distant future.
Exactly. Now, the second takeaway is that investing in quantum computing is definitely a high-risk, high-reward game.
It's like the Wild West of investing.
Pretty much. It's still early days, and there's a lot of uncertainty about which companies are going to come out on top.
So don't go betting the farm on any one company just yet. But it's definitely a space worth watching.
Absolutely. Now, the third and final takeaway is that we need to start thinking about the ethical implications of quantum computing right now.
Right. This technology has the potential to do a lot of good, but there's also the potential for misuse.
Exactly. So as this technology becomes more powerful and more widespread, we need to make sure that it's used responsibly and ethically.
So no Skynet scenarios.
Hopefully not. But seriously, we need to be having these conversations now, before it's too late.
Okay, so to recap, quantum computing is real. It has the potential to be incredibly beneficial, but it also comes with some risks, and we need to be mindful of the ethical implications.
That about sums it up.
So where do we go from here? What's the next step for someone who's been listening to this and thinking, wow, this is really interesting. I want to learn more.
Well, the best thing you can do is just stay curious. Keep learning about this technology and the companies that are developing it. There are tons of resources available online, and new breakthroughs are happening all the time.
So basically, stay tuned.
Exactly. This is a story that's just getting started.
Well said.
Yeah.
And on that note, I want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of quantum computing. It's been a wild ride.
It's been a pleasure being here.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring this fascinating field. The future is quantum, and it's just waiting to be discovered. So until next time, stay curious and keep those minds open. The possibilities are truly endless.